No, son, don't exaggerate. Yesterday's bread isn't that hard. Damn yesterday's bread. We start the episode with a really intense illustration of the leader of the Sumerians facing the damn Mojabraga. Meanwhile, both of them keep farming aura, while the wings, the ones Mojabraga has on his head, surround Dorad. Completely like that, giving the feeling of being like an angel wrapping around a demon. And I really like the vibe, because in this illustration, it feels like a calm demon against a violent angel. Alright? You know, there's a really famous meme that's not exactly like this, but it says that demons take on a slightly more, I don't know what to call it, maybe calm, cute, or pleasant for you so they can deceive you. And on the other hand, angels always have a very grim, very horrible appearance that is scary. Almost like a horror story, but not to scare off demons or anything. It's not exactly like that, but honestly, I'd like to think it's something along those lines, which also bothers me. Because on the other hand, Moja Braga, in its conception, would lean more toward being a kind of demon. And the other one then, being like that, like a race of superior beings from another planet, would seem more like angels in their own way. So I like it because it's a composition that, even though it might seem like it's just a really intense image, I think it has certain little backgrounds, little added details that, well, really add a lot to this illustration. I think I've gone off on a tangent, but honestly, seeing that this has definitely been the best cover of all of Jujutsu Kaisen, I think it was worth taking a moment to talk about it properly. All of this, of course, comes with the text, "Who is the strongest in the universe?" Honestly, we're sure we couldn't have gotten such a powerful image without him. Who is Eiga? Let's see. We know he can draw in his own style. He has his own level, which is not insignificant, but he can't be compared to the current illustrator of the module. His level is impressive. I mean, really, I'm more and more surprised and amazed by this manga every time. It's wonderful. See, guys? Delegating tasks to others obviously works. You don't have to do everything by yourselves. Maybe an extra hand could be helpful. Ige literally said, "Brah, I don't want to draw, I have enough money. Find someone else to draw well for me." And that's it, just like me. Since I have a cat sleeping in my bed, I don't have to pay for blankets anymore. Now then, the episode starts with a joke. Wait, a joke? It's just one of those Yonkoma, where the mangaka makes 4 panels to create a self-contained story. Suguri and Yuka each draw their idea of an alien for Maru, adding references while Maru sketches his version of humans. It's nice, it's interesting, isn't it? Let's go. In the episode, Suguri, like a typical semi-orphaned shonen anime protagonist, wanted to learn more about his father. And of course, we as viewers in the world of sorcery in the story, we know a lot about their grandparents, but their parents were mostly forgotten. No surprise, since Suguri says his father vanished soon after Yuka was born. Later, for no clear reason, Suguri grew curious about who he was. Surprisingly, neither his grandparents nor his mother would discuss him with him. What could this guy have done for neither Maki, nor Yuka, nor YUTA to want to mention their own son? Suguri slowly learned things by quietly asking certain Goyo clan members. It seems their father was quite serious and resembled YUTA physically. Wow, he really was. I saw memes on Twitter about Maki like 9 months inside me and she turned out just like her father. No surprise, this guy was exactly like YUTA. No difference at all. The thing is, Suguri's father turned out to be someone so strict that it actually hurt him, because he was constantly suffering. Back then, it was about pure strength. Goyo, Satoru, and even Yuta's father, who was already known as one of the great beasts. Unlike current sorcery, hydrogen bombs concentrated in ordinary men. Now, the peak of sorcery is beyond my understanding. I mean, someone who could shoot a little fireball from their hand would already be considered a special grade sorcerer or something like that. I mean, literally, Yogoite. Do you guys remember him if he comes here? I mean, he would literally be Sukuna. That's crazy. But yeah, he would literally be Sukuna, the guy. I mean, of course, if you come from a lineage with a history, with enormous power, and your own father had abilities comparable to the bearer of the 6 eyes and the infinite eye. All things considered. Okay, all things considered, inevitably the comparisons would come up. From what I gather, this guy became obsessed with sorcery. Powerful sorcerers existed before because Satoru Goyo broke the power scale and disrupted the balance in the sorcery world. The absence of strong sorcerers now doesn't mean they're weak, just that the imbalance is gone. Because, as we mentioned in earlier reviews, These guys think that the old times were better because there was more power and everything, but, of course, there were also much tougher and more complicated curses and enemies. Jogout was treated like a pushover, but he was incredibly strong. Now that things are calmer, we don't need a sorcerer who can destroy Shibuya. Returning to the topic, just before she vanished, a maid overheard Suguri's father speaking with Itadori, who was still concealing his face. Apparently, it's not known what they were discussing, but the maid managed to hear a simple phrase from Yuji. It was just, "I don't care." I honestly wonder what this guy could have asked him. "Please, I want to be stronger. Take me with you and train me. I'll do whatever you want." And Yuji said no. And that's it? The issue of Suguri's father's disappearance comes down to one key aspect: Yuka's cursed technique. What this guy apparently wanted was for his descendants to have a cursed technique. But just like Suguri's kid, he was born without abilities like his grandmother. They waited another year for the second daughter, and when he saw that indeed she had a cursed technique, he did like the old man from The Simpsons and said, "My mission here is done." That really messes with Suguri's mind. Because, of course, if he had been born with the cursed technique, it would have made his father satisfied, and he would have left earlier, and therefore Yuka wouldn't exist. His inability to use cursed techniques allowed his sister to be born. If Yuka hadn't lacked a technique too, their father would have left and kept having children until one was normal. So, with all that said, Suguri always thought that such a story wouldn't be the best thing for Yuka. You know, it's not a very good idea to tell your sister that you were the reason your father abandoned you. Although he suspects that, due to her intelligence, it's very likely that she has already come to such a conclusion. But anyway, enough of the weird stuff. Now, we finally pick up where the previous episode left us. Maru's technique is extremely confusing. It appears to invert gravity and also shifts walls and changes the environment. It's crazy. Although during an exchange of blows, Suguri manages to snatch the sword from his hand for a second, but the latter literally flips gravity. To counter that, the thing about this guy being a mini Goyo was never a joke. In the end, after inverting gravity, Suguri is left completely exposed to a direct attack from Maru, being sent flying in an instant. Suguri says that despite a 99% chance of losing, he'll bet everything on the 1%. He must save his sister, because that's what older brothers do. Oh, Choso, if you could see this, let's hope Ayuka hasn't wrapped up Chocopic for when Suguri goes to her. In the end, Suguri is shot very far away in Maru, who seems to be farming more and more with each passing episode. Ara stands in front of him and throws a dozen cars to finish him off. My buddy refused to take risks or leave the opponent buried, assuming he was dead. Maru wanted to make sure, he could have made sure better. Maybe he could have gone to his position and attacked him head on, but, well, I guess this works. Although obviously the look on Maru's face when he does this isn't one of satisfaction at all. After all, he was his friend. Lying defeated and unable to move, Suguri feels he should be proud to die like this. Who would have thought someone with his restriction would die in such a magical, absurd fight? It's like dying after losing to a rhinoceros. At least I made it tough for them. Or did I? That's what he thinks at first, but he instantly regrets it since he remembers that little detail that he shouldn't die there. But he also thinks about how even if it was just a normal life, with absolutely nothing special, for him it would be enough to live one more day. Suguri's only goal is to keep his sister alive until her illness inevitably comes. He wants his sister to die peacefully in a quiet place, not struggling. Well, intergalactic Satan. But just as my friend nears death, his grandpa appears to discuss the afterlife with him. Or rather, about the gift he left him before he died. And just as I predicted. And as many of us did too, not just me. Obviously, I'm not going to take all the credit myself. Rika appears in front of Suguri and says, "If I can't handle the grandfather, I can handle the grandson." And not only that, but also, just as I predicted, she's disgusted to see how my buddy looks like the other woman. Sorry, Rika, you got a small kiss, but Maki got the real one. Does it matter? There you go. Rika, though clearly disgusted, agrees to help because Yuta asked her. So Suguri accepts her power. And just like in a classic shonen, and to be honest, I like it, my buddy rises from the ashes with a radiant aura to his opponent's surprise. And there we have it, brothers. Yesterday's bread. Suguri's body with Rika's head. Suguri punches Maru in the face, sending her flying. Though she defended herself, her face clearly shows astonishment, anger, and concern. The curious thing is that Rika seems to have autonomy when it comes to speaking with her body. So Suguri asks her to please not make any comments about this, and not to speak for him either. She gets angry and says, "I'm lending you my power. Let me look cool." And that's how this week's chapter ends, setting the stage for an epic fight coming in a couple of weeks. Because yes, as expected, around this time there will be a manga break, So we'll have some time to catch our breath and relax. From Jujutsu Kaisen, and let's see if I get some time to upload other things to the channel, since it's been 7 Jujutsu Kaisen videos in a row. For God's sake, what is this? Now then, without further ado, let's move on to the section loved by everyone. Just kidding, by no one. The section of
Baby, I'm playing Danju tonight. I can smile and sing for mine. Just like animals, animals like animals, balls out.
This is exactly what happened a few episodes ago with Yuka and Dabura, showing cool Maru and Suguri art before the Yuka vs. Dabura fight. I'll just say this. The episode starts with Dabura and Maharaga's illustration, then moves on to Suguri and Maru's fight. I assume the next episode will feature this fight in the first half and return to Moja Braga and Dabura in the second. What I imagine will happen here is that Rika will be absurdly superior to Maru, to the point of leaving him half dead on the ground. But just before the final blow, Rika's usage time could expire. After all the fighting, both will be exhausted and finally have a brief moment to talk. Although, well, there are quite a few external factors that could interfere in this fight one way or another. There are plenty of other Sumerians out there who could get involved. There's Kurosu, who we already saw is still alive. And on the sorcerer's side, there are those who were part of the council, and obviously, there's also Yuji Itadori. Yuji, where are you? Where are you? Me? Really? Each new chapter makes me feel like Keiki wants to shift all responsibility to new characters and exclude Yuji. Something I don't know, seeing so much fan service, because this is full of fan service. The amount of fan service this module has is crazy, it doesn't make sense. It'd be weird if Itadori did nothing, but that's it. Keep watching. He's just included as a reference. But I think Keiki just wants to fully hand over the responsibility to Yuka and Suguri. Which makes sense because it's probably something he would have wanted to do from the beginning. And we already know that he got trapped in that obligation to form that trio. A weak shonen, which we already know didn't really work in favor of Jujutsu Kaisen either. By the way, I saw that the manga will resume around the time the 3rd season of the anime premieres. So I think that's pretty smart for getting feedback. By the way, the cover of Modules Volume 1 is really nice too. And, well, the chapter itself is pretty short, pretty fresh. Not much to say, some major things are happening. I really like it, because both Suguri and Yuka are super strong thanks to their techniques. So in the end, the restriction thing, Rika, the shadows with the Moja Braga, with all these things, I like that in the end they're showing a good level. Maybe they're not quite at the level that Goyo could handle back in the day, or even YUTA himself. I like how things are handled, and one thing that helps is that, though I hope I don't jinx it, to keep power scales in check, since many sequels, like Dragon Ball, Super, and Boruto, struggle with this. That's what happens when the power scales get out of control, because the authors do it to grab attention. Like, no, look at how powerful these characters are compared to the usual ones. Look, they're better because they're stronger. That often works against it, as power scales become unmanageable and characters overly complex. I'm not really for increasing the power scale. I think it's great that they're keeping it, or even playing a little below the leagues of Goyo Satoru and Sukuna, because from what I more or less understand, I haven't done an in-depth analysis. We can do an in-depth analysis if you want. Let me know in the comments when the manga ends. Comparing Dabura, Suguri, Rika, Maru, all these people with Sukuna himself and Goyo Satoru, to try to figure out if they'll have any chance against them or not. Although it doesn't seem like it right now. Let's let the manga keep going, and then, when the time comes, we'll make the relevant comparisons. On the other hand, I'm telling you officially, I'm 95% sure that the next video on the channel won't be Jujutsu Kaisen. First, because there are 2 weeks off. Second, because I really truly want to upload some variety. This is against my will. I'm betrayed and locked up for 1,000 years in the Jujutsu Kaisen module. And third, because I already have not just 1, but about 4 videos that aren't about the module, which are scripted and ready for when I want to start recording and working on them. That's it. See you in the next videos. Have a great Christmas and New Year's Eve, and we'll likely see each other in 2027. Bye.